So this past October, my wife Ellen and I, she's here, sitting on the front row, we did something we've never done before. Almost 35 years of marriage. We took 2 weeks on vacation, traveled to the other side of the planet because I was invited to help lead this trip, the journey on the footsteps of Paul. It was amazing. I'm telling you, it was incredible. We went to, we saw Rome and Naples, Pompeii. We saw Athens. We went to Corinth and Ephesus and Istanbul, Turkey. We went to Santorini, Greece. I'm pretty sure that Paul never went to Santorini, but when I spent a day there, I was like, well, that's too bad for you because this is the most beautiful place I've ever been. Paul should have been to Santorini. Trip of a lifetime, except for the way it started. And we live in San Antonio, so we flew from San Antonio to Washington, D.C., long layover, and then we got on our plane, I don't remember, 8, 9, 10 hours. I don't remember how far it was, across the Atlantic to Rome, overnight, one of those red-eye kind of things. So we got on the plane, and we found our seats. We're like almost right in the middle of the plane, put our stuff up. I'm at the window seat. Ellen's next to me. And then we're next to this young family. Oh, there was mom and daughter, looked to be under 2 years old. Found out her name was Layla. Sitting next to Ellen in the aisle seat, just across the aisle, is Dad. All right, so we got in our seats. We put our stuff up. The plane takes off. Within about 36 seconds of the wheels leaving the ground, Layla started to cry. And then she started to kick. And then she started to scream. And then she started screaming, kicking, and crying. And I'm thinking to myself, out of all of the people on this full flight, out of all of the people on this plane, we drew the short straw. We get to sit next to screaming Layla all the way across the Atlantic. Now, she didn't cry the whole time, but it's pretty close. I'd say we had a couple of hours maybe of peace. And, her mom, God love her, she was young. Her mom tried everything. I mean, there was sippy cups, there were snacks, there were games, there were books, there was a cold rag, there were electronics. She tried everything. God love her, but nothing was working. The only thing that would calm Layla down was when Dad would get out of his seat and take Layla from Mom, and then he'd kind of walk, the aisles. He'd kind of hang out. We were right there kind of where the emergency exits are and where the flight attendant station is. There's a little room. He'd kind of walk around, and Layla would stop crying, and we were all like, oh, geez, thank you. But now, Dad couldn't stand up for 8 hours with Layla, and we would notice the later it got that he'd be leaning on the wall, like this. And so as soon as he would hand Layla back to Mom, it wouldn't be long, she'd start crying again. And several hours into this, when Dad took Layla and walked towards the front of the plane or somewhere, well, that's when Mom got teary-eyed, and then she started to cry. And Ellen, as she is prone to do, just put her hand on Layla's arm. She said the magic words, "It's okay. We understand. We have all been there. We have all experienced this." I said the same thing to her. The flight attendant said the same thing to her. The people sitting around us said the same thing to her. Now look, I don't want you to think I was a saint because I was having all the thoughts. I was. 3 o'clock in the morning, like I know when we land in Rome, we're going to be on a bus for like 2 hours, and then we're going to get off, and we're going to start the tour, and we're going to be walking for miles, right, till about 6, 7 o'clock in the evening. I'm like, we didn't sleep real well the night before. Now we're not going to sleep at all. And so I'm thinking the thoughts. I'm like, OMG. Please do something about your daughter. Why would you bring a girl this young on a plane? Why would you be taking a girl this young on a trip to Italy like she's going to remember anything? All the thoughts. In my own defense, I bet I wasn't the only one thinking it. But you know what? Nobody said it. Nobody, maybe under our breath where no one could hear, but no one said anything. We said those magic words over and over. It's okay. It's okay. We smiled, kind of. But by the end of the flight, I think every one of us there must have been 10, 15 people who were sitting around that young family, every one of us did everything we could to help take care of Layla. And so when the flight landed and we got to the gate and we're all, taking our stuff and we're getting ready to get off the plane, Mom, in a moment, looked at us and said, "Thank God for all of you. Thank God for all of you. You have been like angels for us on this plane, tearful. Thank God for all of you." When I was being formed for the priesthood at the University of the South in Swanee, Tennessee, affectionately known as God's Mountain, 25 years ago, I learned something in my New Testament studies that I never forgot. I know I have forgotten a lot of things that I learned in seminary, but this one thing I never forgot. Our New Testament professor, Dr. Christopher Bryan, he said this. And we're talking about the New Testament, so I don't know if this is true for the Old Testament also, but certainly for the New. He said this. He said, when you're reading the Scriptures, the New Testament, and in the course of a few verses, you see one word repeated over and over and over again. That is a signal for you, he said. There is a profound something, a statement, a teaching that's fixing to happen here. He told us, if it's someone speaking like Jesus, I want you to imagine when this repetitive word over and over again, I want you to imagine that Jesus, Paul, whoever, is raising their voice. Like maybe even have one of those bullhorns, that one word over and over and over again. It is meant to get your attention. And so, if Christopher Bryan is right, and I'm sure he is because he's much smarter than I am, well, it's happening in this very short gospel reading today. Was it Matthew 10, 40 through 42? There is a word, I see some of y'all are looking, there is a word that is repeated 5 times. It is that word welcome, also translated receive. Very important, 5 times in 2 verses. I'm just going to go ahead and say that that word is a foundational principle of the gospel. It is a foundational principle of discipleship, following Jesus. The word for welcome or receive in the biblical Greek, and I hope I'm saying it right, is Dechomenos. And Dechomenos can mean lots of things. You can look it up. Like it can mean to take someone by the hand, to receive hospitality. It can mean to embrace, literally and figuratively, to embrace, to make one your own. It can mean to bear something, to endure something. So I guess we were doing a lot of that dechomenosing on the plane going across the Atlantic, to bear something or endure something. It means lots of things. But I'm looking at this in my office this week on my computer screen, long list of things this word can mean, and it's the very last thing, the very last possible meaning that just jumped right off the computer screen. And I thought, this is it. Foundational principle of the gospel, foundational principle of discipleship. What did it say? To not reject. To not reject anyone. To not reject. Dechomenos, foundational principle of the gospel. I think that if Jesus were to walk through that side door, come speak to us, first of all, that'd be a miracle. We'd call Father John and be like, I know you're on vacation, but something has happened. But if Jesus were to read these or to say these words to us, these few verses, if he were to do that today, you know what? He would be shouting that word Dechomenos. He would be shouting that word at the very top of his lungs, where we would put our hands over our ears. Because I read some time ago in like Psychology Today or something like that, I read that almost 100% of the population of this country, almost 100%, men, women, children, doesn't matter, suffers from a fear of rejection. I mean, for some it's extreme, for some not. That's something. Almost 100% of the population on some level is suffering from a fear of rejection, most especially our young people. One of my favorite preachers said, where he read somewhere where they're calling the younger generation the generation of anxiety and all the social media and the fear of rejection and, having to be a certain way, all those kinds of things. I also read that fear of rejection is largely responsible for the anxiety that we live with every day. And I believe it because I got it. While I was writing this sermon, on my Facebook memory pops up. It gave me PTSD. It did. Biggest wedding I've ever done when I was a parish priest. Family in our church. I knew it was like mom, dad, grandparents, bride, and groom, like 6 of them, and going to be this big wedding. The grandfather said, Father, it would be an honor after the rehearsal that you would come to the rehearsal dinner, say a few words, and then say the prayer. Okay, all right, I'll do that. So this is on a Friday, and I don't know, about 30 minutes before it's time to go and do this thing, I can tell Ellen, she's not feeling well. She says, I don't think I'm going to make it. Oh, great, I'm going to go by myself. So I do the rehearsal. And then I go to the rehearsal dinner. I'll walk into this. It's like this big ballroom. Y'all, I'm not exaggerating. There were almost 200 people packed into this place. I know like 6 of them. And what are they doing? Well, they're all busy. They're saying hi to everybody. Now, you may not believe this, but I am definitely, I can tell you, Ellen can attest to this, I am a recovering introvert. I am. It still shows up sometimes. You put me in a room of 200 or 300 people that I don't know, and what am I going to do? I am going to shrivel up in the corner. I'm going to find the wall, something. And that's what I did. And I'm like standing there, and no one's even acknowledging I'm in the room. And then I start having all those thoughts, right? Like everybody thinks I'm weird. Why ain't anybody coming over here? Who's the guy in the collar? Why is that guy just standing there looking like that by himself? Rejection and anxiety. I'm on my phone to Ellen. I'm like, I will not be able to get out of here fast enough. No one is talking to me. I don't know. I knew there was something wrong with me. The whole thing. Fear of rejection. If you've ever been in a situation like that, there is no greater gift. I'm going to say it again. There is no greater gift than when one person in the room comes up to you and extends their hand and says, hey, my name is so-and-so. Nice to have you here. Tell me your name. Hey, why don't you come and sit with us? Oh my gosh, it's like the weight of the world just went right off my shoulders. A gift. One person. Hi, I see you. It's like that mother on the plane. Everyone hates me. Those were her words. Everyone hates me. When she got to go to the restroom, the back of the plane, I'm imagining this must be for her like a walk of shame, like she's walking. And she's just imagining all these things that people are thinking, oh, there's the lady that can't control her kid. Oh, there's the terrible mother. Oh, there's the lady that's depriving us of our sleep. All the things. Fear of rejection, real or perceived, and the anxiety that comes with it. Y'all know this feeling? Almost every head's nodding yes. We do. Foundational principle of the gospel. Foundational principle of discipleship. Do not reject. Welcome. Receive. Jesus calls us to take one another by the hand, literally and figuratively, to embrace one another, To offer whatever it is, like if we perceive that someone is feeling that rejection, or maybe they're all alone in a room full of people, to offer whatever part of ourselves we can offer, even if it's just our hands and our arms, to hold little Layla so that we can have, or mom and dad can maybe have a moment of peace for about 35 seconds. To offer something of ourselves. It is to seek out the person that's alone in the room, whether it be in the parish hall over here, the church, wherever you are. That person who might be sitting there thinking the same thing that you and I have thought if we've been sitting there alone. No one likes me. Why isn't anyone coming over here to speak to me? I am all alone. Offer them that gift. Hello. Tell me your name. Interpretation, I see you. You matter. To embrace them as if they belong to God. Because guess what? They do. To embrace one another and remembering we all belong to God. I see you. Have you ever been in a restaurant having a conversation with your server? Ellen does this all the time. You're having a conversation with your server and they don't have a name badge on. And in the conversation, you say, tell me your name. Have you ever seen what happens when you say that? Their persona changes. Like, you're not just serving my food. I want to know your name. I want to know something about you. No greater gift to one who is feeling rejection and anxiety and feeling alone. You know this. Welcome and receive. Do not reject. Dechomenos. Dechomenos. I was telling the early service that if you go onto the diocesan website, I don't even know where to find this, but there's a place you can go and you can send an email, and then the person that reads those emails sends it to the person on the staff that they think this is, like you're the one that needs to respond to this. So about a month ago, I got an email that I've gotten before, an email like the ones I've gotten many, many times before, sounded something like this. Hello, my name is Kim. I have a loose connection with the Episcopal Church, as did my father, who was 93 years old, just passed away. I'm wondering if you know of an Episcopal priest that could come and do a brief graveside service. Now, when I get an email like that, normally I'll start emailing all the clergy around San Antonio to see if anybody's willing to do this thing. But I don't know what it was this time. I thought, it's been I was a parish priest for 15 years. I don't get to do that very often. So, okay, I'll do it. So we exchanged emails, and when the day came, it was on a Thursday a couple of weeks ago, hot, humid, Drove to the cemetery, big cemetery. I drove. I get there, I see the tent. I see the urn with the flowers. I see about 20 chairs, all empty, except for Kim and the young man who worked for the cemetery, who was an amazing and remarkable young man. I got there about 20 minutes early, so I sat there with Kim, getting to know a little bit about her. I kept noticing she was looking over her shoulder. And then finally she would start speaking what she was thinking. Oh, I think that's going to be my friend so-and-so. No, that's not them. Wait, okay, no, it's not them. And then as it got closer and closer, it was almost like she was making excuses for no one showing up. Well, it's really hot. I only sent the invitation out twice. I knew I should have sent it out a third time. It's summertime. Everybody's on vacation. 11 o'clock came, no one there. And I could just sense it. I could see it in her face. It's that feeling of rejection. No one came. No one cares. No one cares about him. No one cares about me. The service was beautiful. Full military honors with taps, flag, rifles. She had told me in an email that she wanted to speak. And so when the time came, she sat there very teary-eyed with some papers, and her hands were shaking, and she said, should I read this? No one's here. the young man from the cemetery said, well, we're here. And so she got up and she read this beautiful eulogy for her father, all the while looking at those empty seats. And when I drove away, I looked in my rearview mirror, and it was exactly the scenes when I got there, sitting alone. Why am I telling you this story? Because I believe in my heart of hearts, y'all, that sometimes God himself is going to put us in people's lives, going to insert us right in a moment for someone who might be feeling rejected, alone, anxious. It's going to put us right there in that situation. Because I know that people have certainly arrived for me in those situations. And what are we called to do again? What was the word? Dechomenos. To welcome them, to receive them. Certainly not to reject them. I want to close with this. I think I've apologized for this every time I've been here, so I'm a storyteller. I'm a storyteller. So this was one of those weeks where I was really struggling with the sermon. I'm like, I'm not going to really touch Abraham sacrificing his son. I'm not going to touch that one. And then there's the one from Romans, it's all about sin. I'm not sure I want to come to heart and start talking about sin, so it's going to be the gospel. Well, it's only a few verses, and I'm struggling. Well, finally got a sermon written midweek, but I was kind of anxious about it. And I write all of my sermons in Microsoft Word. And so I decided to use that Copilot thing. Y'all know this Copilot thing? It's great, little Copilot thing. So I click on Copilot, and I ask the question, does this document have a point? It took it a minute. And this is what came back. And this was like an epiphany for me. I'm like, this is brilliant. This is what Copilot said. In a world shaped by fear of rejection, disciples are called to create belonging. That's in capital letters. I know you can't see, it's in capital letters. Did you hear it? You and I, as followers of Jesus Christ, are called to create belonging. Because odds are everywhere we go, someone is feeling that feeling of rejection, anxiety, fear. We're not just called to bring it, we're called to create it. My dear friends at St. Albans Episcopal Church, why is this important? Well, because we are called to keep watch. Keep watch. Look around you. Seek them out. Those people who are alone, rejected, whatever it is. The custodian in the hallway, whatever. Ask them their name. I see you. Why is this so important? Well, because what did Jesus say? When you welcome one of these, you are also welcoming me. Isn't that something? That when we live into the definition of Dechomenos, we are welcoming the one we follow. In the name of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.